Namaskar. Welcome to the fourth day of the Swayam Prabha live conferencing of the 11th batch of National Education Policy 2020 Professional Development Program for University and College Teachers. I am Dr. Gloria Kujur, one of the faculty members of STRIDE, IGNU, and one of the member of NEP PDP committee. Today we have with us Dr. Hemlata, Deputy Director in National Center for Disability Studies, IGNU, and also former Director in NCDS. Ma'am has a rich experience in the area of intellectual disability, disability studies, distance education, and sociology. Ma'am has written 2 books on disability and contributed in writing several chapters on disability studies. She has received Rajiv Gandhi National Award for the Best Rehabilitation Professional from Indian Association of Rehabilitation Professional in the year 2011 and is recipient of Erasmus Mundus Fellowship from European Union in the area of special and inclusive education in the year 2014-15. She is member of various committees of Government of India for framing the policies related to disability. Ma'am, we welcome you to today's session on the topic NEP 2020 Inclusion of Persons with Disabilities.
Today we are talking about NEP in context of inclusion of persons with disabilities. If we see education, because in 2020 when National Education Policy came, so it is clear-cut written in that policy that education is a great leveler and is the best tool for achieving economic and social mobility, inclusion and equality. Initiatives must be in place to ensure that all students from such groups, despite inherent obstacles, are provided various targeted opportunities to enter and excel in the educational system. So when we talk with this spirit of NEP 2020, we always think that inclusion of students with disabilities is there. And if we see like what is the scenario like regarding disability in India, because before going to the inclusion of persons with disabilities and talking about the national education policy, we need to think about what is the scenario as a country. If we see like we have around 140 crore population of all persons, and then there are 2.68 crore persons with disabilities. And this number is based on the census that happened in 2011. So this is the census that was done that time. And if we see the higher education system of India, it is world's 3rd largest education system. And in that context, we have only 4.65% students with the disabilities who go for higher education. And if we see like what kind of trained professionals are there in our country to cater the needs of students with disabilities. When a child with disabilities goes to a school, whether it is an inclusive school or a special school, we need to think about who are there to take care of their needs. So special educators, therapists and other paraprofessionals. So if we see all the professionals, including special educators and other rehabilitation professionals, as per Rehabilitation Council of India record, there are 1.9 lakh trained professionals in our country. So with such a huge population of persons with disabilities, we have this number of professionals who are trained to take care of persons with disabilities. Then we had Right to Education Act in 2009. And then there was an act that was enacted in 2016, that is Right of Persons with Disabilities Act. And if we say that in each school there should be one special educator. At least one special educator is there in a school, then the school can at least take care of the needs of children with different disabilities. So with this estimate also, if we go, so we need around 6 lakh teachers, special teachers in our country. So we have such a huge target, and this scenario is there. So with this kind of scenario, if we talk and we talk about disability, so let's see like what is the prevalence of disability in our country. So as I told earlier, as per census 2011, 2.21% persons with disabilities are there, and as per the census 2001, 2.1% persons with disabilities were there, and NSSO 2002, 1.8 persons with disabilities were there, and WHO talks about 10% persons with disabilities approximately. So, and if we see like the proportion of persons with disabilities in different kind of disabilities, because when this census was there, that time the number of disabilities was also less. So if we see like what is the per thousand, how many people with disabilities are there. If we see persons with visual impairment or those who have problem in seeing, they are 18.8%, in hearing 18.9%, in speech 7.5%, in movement 20.3%, mental retardation, now we call it intellectual disability, it is 5.6%, mental illness 2.7%, any other 18.4%, and multiple disability is 7.9%, and this data is based on the census 2011. Let's see like what is a disability, because disability, it is a evolving concept. Now we talk about like if a person has a long-term physical, mental, intellectual or sensory impairment which in interaction with barriers hinders his or her full and effective participation in society equally with others. It means if a person has any physical, intellectual or sensory disability, and because of that, the problem is not because of that disability. The problem is that problem is because of the barriers that are present in our environment. So they are not able to participate equally with others. So the problem is with the system, because system is not able to provide them the facilities to work or to study or to do anything. So because of that, disability is there. So now nowadays we say disability in context of social model of disability, that says it is the responsibility of the society or the system to provide them the opportunities or to provide them the enabling environment. So let's see how many type of disabilities are there. So in 2016, Government of India passed this Right of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016, and as per this act there are 21 types of disabilities, and these disabilities are mentioned in this chart, and I'll go further like type of disabilities. One is locomotor disability. So locomotor disability means if a person has disability in movement, it can be in hands or in legs or one leg or in both the legs. If anybody has any kind of problem, that is called locomotor disability. Then second one is leprosy cured. Those persons who were affected by the leprosy and because of that there is a deformity in the body, so that is called leprosy cured, and because of this disability they are not able to conduct their day-to-day activities. Then third one is cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy means it is a neurological condition, and because of this condition the body and mind coordination is not in connection with the thoughts that person think about that. Suppose a person has cerebral palsy and he or she wants to move an object and mind says pick up the object, but the body does not listen to that, and because of that there are problems. So the person who has cerebral palsy, they may have poor speech, they may be drooling, there may be problem in movement, picking up the objects, sitting, and sitting posture also. So this is cerebral palsy. Then next disability is dwarfism. Dwarfism is a disability that it is recently added in in 2016 only it was added in the Disability Act, and in this disability the height of person is very short. So anybody who has a height of 4 feet 10 inch, lower than 4 feet 10 inch comes in the dwarfism category, and depending upon the size, the length of the person, the percentage of the dwarfism is calculated. And many times people think like they are dwarf, but they don't have any problem, they can do their daily activity. But if we think about our structures, about our schools, about our cars, about transportation system, everything is made based on an average height. So a person who is dwarf, they are not able to even open the door or board a bus, or if they have to board a train, so they find it difficult. So these are the kind of things that they face. And then there is a condition that is muscular dystrophy. So because of the problems in muscles, they are not able to conduct their regular activity, day-to-day activity, and there is a weakness in the muscles and it is a degenerative condition. So day by day their condition may deteriorate, and sometimes they are not able to conduct their day-to-day activities. Then comes the acid attack. In this disability, anybody whose body has been deformed with a acid attack. Usually this attack is done on females and it is done on the upper part of the body. The body is deformed, and because of that they have psychological problems and image issues, and apart from that they also have disabilities. They may have problem in seeing or speaking or hearing also. So this disability is also under locomotor disabilities. This condition comes under locomotor disabilities. Then comes the blindness. Anybody who is not able to see at all is called blindness. In blindness there are two kind of things. One is total absence of sight, and one is just feeling of darkness. Like if a light is switched on, they can have a concept of okay, light is switched on, or total blindness, that is there. Then there is a condition that is called low vision. So those person who have low vision, they are not able to see the objects properly with a near distance also. For example, if there is an object that is at a distance of 10 feet, if a normal person can see an object with a distance of 100 feet, a person with low vision cannot see that object with a distance of 10 feet. So because of this condition, they are not able to conduct their regular activities. And the persons who have low vision, they also have a tunnel vision, because their vision field of vision is in a tunnel shape. So the thing will look like if you are looking through a tunnel. Then there is a condition that is deaf. Those people who are not able to hear at all are called deaf. And then there is a condition that is hard of hearing. Those who cannot hear a sound of less than 70 decibel are called hard of hearing. And with the help of hearing aids, they can listen some sounds. Then comes a condition that is called speech and language disability. So these persons are not able to speak properly, or their language development is very poor, and because of this they are not able to communicate with others. And for communication, language is a very important tool. Then comes intellectual disability. Anybody who has intellectual disability means the development of their IQ is less, and because of that they are not able to create a relationship between the things, they are not able to generalize the things, and they are not able to understand the meaning of different things. And those persons who have intellectual disability, we need to teach them, provide them the intervention, and we need to teach them even the basic life skills, even daily living skills we have to teach them. One example, very simple thing, like if you give 10 rupees to a child with intellectual disability and tell them that you can buy a chocolate in these 10 rupees. So this child will not learn in one go. You will have to tell them many times, and once they learn that in 10 rupees you can buy a chocolate, they can go to a shop, buy the particular type of chocolate only with 10 rupees. And suppose after some time you give them 5 rupees coin, 5 rupees coin, that is also 10 rupees, and ask them, okay, you can buy a chocolate from that. So these children will say, no, I need 10 rupees only. So this is the kind of thing, they are not able to generalize the things. And then comes the specific learning disabilities. Specific learning disabilities may be difficulty in reading, or difficulty in doing calculations or writing, or in any of these things or all of these things. So these children need to be taught in different manner. Then comes autism spectrum disorder. In autism spectrum disorder, the person who has autism, they are very self-centered, they want to keep alone, they have very fixed schedules, they don't mingle with others, their social skills are very poor, and if you make a routine for them and give them a proper intervention, then they can do certain type of activities. They may be very intelligent, their IQ may be very high, but because of social interaction, because of lack of social interaction, they are not able to connect with their environment, with their friends, with their families. So they are, they need a special kind of trainings. Then comes mental illness. In mental illness, there might be problem in behavior problems, or mood swings, or violent behaviors may be there, and mental illness can be cured with medicines, or many times it is not curable, or they have a severe kind of mental illness, so they need medication, and sometimes they need the institutional care also. And then comes multiple sclerosis. In multiple sclerosis, it is a neurological condition. In multiple sclerosis, the degeneration of various muscles is there, and many times the person is all right, and slowly they have problems, they can have problems in walking, they can have blurred visions, or sometimes they will have normal vision and then all of a sudden their vision would be blurred, or different kind of issues and problems, and movement problems or understanding problems may be there. And then comes the Parkinson's disease. In Parkinson's disease, they have, they have problem because it is also a neurological condition, and because of this they are not able to hold objects, or body parts keep shaking, hands especially keep shaking, and because of this they are not able to conduct their regular activities. And then there is a hemophilia. In hemophilia there is a problem of blood clotting. The blood clotting is not there, and because of that, if there is a minor injury, there is a lot of bleeding, and that can be fatal to person who is having hemophilia. And there is a thalassemia. This is also a blood related problem, and in this condition also there is a problem in the persons affected with this issue, blood related problem, and because of that they have sickness. The person who are having thalassemia, they are not able to participate in their school life or other issues, so because of this they have the disability. And then there is a sickle cell disease. It is also a blood disorder, and in sickle cell disease the cells of the blood in our body, their shape changes. Their shape changes like a sickle or like a half moon, and because of this shape, when those cells move, there is a pain. So there are a lot of painful event in the persons who are having sickle cell disease, and because of that they are not able to participate in different activities. And then comes the multiple disabilities. In multiple disabilities, the persons having may have 2 or more disabilities at one time. Like anybody can have intellectual disability as well as visual impairment, or one can have deafness and blindness, and very common is deaf blindness. So persons have both kind of problems. So any of the disabilities that are that I have explained, if 2 or more disabilities are together, then we say it is multiple disabilities. And one thing I would like to inform you all, that these 21 disabilities are there, and there are 2 very important things that we need to remember about disabilities. Anybody who is having these disabilities and have at least 40%, they should have at least 40% of the disability, then they can get the benefit of the government schemes. And apart from that, if they have higher, they have severe disability, more than 80% disability, then we say persons with higher support need, who need continuous support. So if we see like what are the life cycle needs of persons with disabilities. So if we see persons with disabilities, they have psychosocial needs, they are human beings, they stay in the society, they have psychological needs as other person, they want to meet people, they need to be in society, they want to greet people, so those needs are there. Then vocational needs are there, they also need to work or learn how to work, so those needs are there. Then their empowerment needs are there, they also need recreational activities, their educational needs are there, and then physio-medical needs are there. So these are the kind of needs that any person who is having disability has. So if we talk about like these needs in context of NEP, because when we talk about NEP, so it talks like from the childhood up to the higher education level, we need to provide them learning opportunities. So when we are talking about providing the learning opportunities to students with disabilities, so we need to think about these needs, or we need to think about how many types of disabilities are there and what kind of needs may be there. So when NEP was formulated, so the focus of our National Education Policy 2020 is on quality and application based knowledge, and it aims making new generation future ready. It intends that a child learn inquiry, discovery, discussion and analysis based learning. And these are the things that we always talk in special education and in inclusive education also. When we talk about we need to provide inclusive education to children with disabilities, so we always say that our children need to learn, and project based learning and the application based learning that is required for these students. If we see 5 pillars of education as per NEP: accessibility, equity, quality, affordability and accountability. These are very important things, and in terms of education of persons with disabilities also. They need to have accessibility of the education, they need to have accessibility of material, accessibility of educational institutions. They also need equity. Equity is very important for them. They need to be treated at par with others, and quality of education is very important for them, and on top of that they need the affordability of education and accountability, because when we talk about we need to have trained professionals, we need to have trained teachers, and the educational institutions should be accountable for providing quality education to persons with disabilities. NEP 2020, if we see it with the lens of inclusion, so I am a special educator, so if I see the whole policy, it is speaking the language of special educators. We special educators talk about the 5 things that are pillars of this NEP 20, and it will be a landmark to provide inclusive education to persons with disabilities. It aims to produce engaged, productive and contributing citizens for building an equitable, inclusive and plural society. And the 5 pillars of NEP are integral part of inclusive education. In inclusive education, we always talk about these 5 things. What is the role of higher education institutions in NEP 20? The NEP 20 has a mandate for the higher educational institutions that they enable the students to learn about how to think instead of what to think. And this is what we always do in our inclusive education. And we inculcate these things in our special children. Foster the unique capacity of each student in academic and non-academic spheres. And in special education, we always say each child is unique, each child has a different need, and every individual has a different learning style. So we need to teach them as per their capacity, and that's why we in intellectual disability and in other disabilities also, we always prepare the teaching education plan, individualized education plans we make. And NEP is talking about unique capacity of each student in academic and non-academic spheres. For our special children, non-academic spheres are very important, and these are part of their school life. And apart from that, providing multidisciplinary education across sciences, social sciences, arts, humanity and sports. And this is very important for our special children also, because there might be some special students who are very good in sciences, but they are not able to study all the subject of sciences in one go. So they can take science subjects as well as art subjects, or humanities and social sciences and sports. So this multidisciplinary aspect of education is very important for our students. Apart from that, it emphasizes on conceptual understanding, and conceptual understanding is very important part of special education also. And NEP says that role of higher education institutions is full equity and inclusion. We need to provide equity and inclusion to our students with various categories, and in terms of students with disabilities, it becomes all the more important. Then academic bank of credits. It is a very important part of our inclusive education, and if our students are provided this kind of opportunity, they will have thing. Suppose they are studying and because of their poor health or because of other reason, if they left their study in between, they would be able to restart the things. They will be able to restart the things, because whatever they have learned, whatever they have done earlier, that is credited somewhere and they can build on that. So that is very important part. And then increased access, equity and inclusion through a range of measures, including equal opportunities. NEP talks about providing equal opportunities to persons with disabilities and other groups. It talks about providing scholarships to them so that they can take part in different educational activities. It talks about online education. Open and distance education is very important part of NEP, and for students with disabilities, open and distance education is a very powerful tool, because they can study at their own pace, and they can get education at their own place also. And accessibility of infrastructure, that is very important, and then accessibility of learning material. So we need to take care of the accessibility of learning material for students with disabilities. Then credit-based courses in areas of community engagement and services will be helpful for students with disabilities. So they need to be engaged in different community activities, and with that they would be able to have a connect with the community also. And multiple exit plan is also a very important for them, at least if they have undergone a program and they are not able to complete that program. So if they want to exit after 1 year, so they will have a diploma with them. So this kind of thing is very important for them also. And then policy provides optimal learning environment and adequate student support. So this is a very important part of policy in terms of inclusion. And if we see like what this policy talk about socially and economic disadvantaged groups, the policy says that special focus should be on SEDGs, that includes gender, socio-cultural differences, disabilities and geographical differences. And it talks about that there should be special educational zones also if there are more student at a particular place. So there should be provision for these students so that they can learn. And it says that initiatives must be in place to ensure that all students from such groups, that is SEDGs, that despite inherent obstacles, they are provided various targeted opportunities so that they can enter and excel in the educational system. So that is a very important part for inclusion also, and inclusion of persons with disabilities as well as persons from other disadvantaged groups. And systemic support in higher education institutions. So if that kind of support is provided in higher education institutions for inclusion of persons with disabilities, so it mitigate opportunity costs and fees for pursuing higher education, and they need to make admission process more inclusive, make curriculum more inclusive, and increase employability potential. Then ensure all buildings and facilities are wheelchair accessible and disabled friendly, so that persons with disabilities or students with disabilities or faculty with disabilities can go to each part of the education system, each part of the university or college, and they don't feel any hindrance in their education. And develop bridge courses for students that come from disadvantaged educational backgrounds. Suppose they are not very well versed with English language, so we need to provide them the English language courses, or if the students are coming from they are well versed with English but they need to be taught Hindi, so that thing should also be there. So we need to provide bridge courses depending on the need of the students with disabilities and other disadvantaged groups. And suppose there are students who are not very well versed with computers, because they are from disadvantaged groups, they have not been able to learn the computers. So in our educational system we need to provide them that kind of exposure, some extra classes from bridge courses for them, and those things should be helpful for them. And then provide socio-emotional and academic support and mentoring for all such students through suitable counseling and mentoring programs. So that is very important in any educational setup. And when students with disabilities are there, these kind of things are prevalent and they have such issues. So those issues can be addressed through suitable counseling and mentoring programs. And there should be no discrimination with these students or harassment with these students because of their disability or because of their immobility, so that they can also be treated at par with other students. NEP 20, what equity and inclusion it is talking? It says earmark suitable government funds for education of SEDGs, and disability is one part of SEDGs. Then enhance higher gross enrollment ratio for SEDGs. It says enhance gender balance in admission to higher education. It says enhance access by establishing special education zones containing large number of SEDGs. Then it focus on that we need to talk about teaching in local languages. And then it talks about scholarship for SEDGs, and then support technology tool for better teaching outcomes. So these are some of the things. And if we see what are the major concerns of persons with disabilities. First major concern is very few quality content for students having disabilities is there. Like if we see, like books are there, but if there are students who are having blindness, they are not able to read that material. So the availability of that material in accessible format, in soft copies, in EPUB format is not there for all the books. So that things should be taken in mind, kept in mind while providing them the learning opportunities. And then for those students who are having deafness, it is very important that Indian Sign Language should be there, or if a student are not able to understand what is there in the college life, or in practicals, in classrooms, there are various activities, various things that happen. If the students are not able to understand, because those things, everything is not written in the books, so we need to provide them these experiences or these information in sign language. Then availability of proper educational material in local languages, sign language, braille, accessible format, that is very important. And accessible campus life. Accessible campus life means not only classrooms or teaching material. The students might be interested in taking part in the games, in the recreational activities, in annual day functions, or in many programs that are conducted in the campus. So that should be accessible for them. And apart from that, accessible transport, that is very important. The means of transport should be accessible for persons with disabilities. And then these are few suggestions like what can be done for them. Committee of experts should be constituted in each university for preparing some models based on NEP principles for facilitating the students having disabilities. So like if each higher education institute or college or university has that kind of thing, because based on the local need, they need to provide them the opportunities and facilitate these students. And then customization of educational contents for the students having speech and hearing impairment and visual impairment, that is also very important. Then need to work for teaching Indian Sign Language in the mainstream society. At least they should have some basic sign language knowledge, or like they should be sensitized. They should be knowing like how you need to interact with the students who are having hearing impairment. Then there must be inclusive and effective participation of all stakeholders. So that is very important. And sign language has recently been recognized as a language. So some of the educational institutions need to take a lead to offer programs in sign language as a language course. And Indian Sign Language must be the second and third language to be introduced in the school curriculum also. Like in the schools, the students are given choice whether you take Sanskrit or French. So similarly, if Indian Sign Language is also introduced in that manner, that would be a very good thing and it would go a long way. So there are some recommendations for higher education institutions. One is conduct outreach on higher education opportunities and scholarships so that persons with disabilities are aware what are the things that are available for them. Then make admission process more inclusive. And suppose at the time of admission there are persons with disabilities that are coming to the admission desk. So there should be a person, single window support system for these students, for helping them out, for providing them the information that should be there in each higher education institution. And then make curriculum more inclusive. Then ensure accessibility of all buildings so that they can also become a part of that. Then develop bridge courses for students that come from disadvantaged group background, and suitable counseling and mentoring should be there. Then sensitization of faculty, counselors, staff, students at various issues. It is very important that we always talk about sensitization, faculty, counselors, and apart from that, the support staff that is working in an educational environment, they should be sensitized. If you have a security guard in your university or your college, that person should be aware like how to greet a person with disability, or if a person with disability comes to that institute, what should they do, so that the first contact point, at first contact point only, they are helped and they feel that they are a part of this system and they don't feel neglected. Apart from that, all discrimination and anti-harassment rules should be enforced strictly so that no person with disability is discriminated, and then develop institutional plan of action for increasing participation from SADGs and including sign language, braille as a part of that. What can be done? These are some doable things that can be done at any educational institution. Sign language, braille, assistive technology at early age, then standardizing Indian Sign Language, then sign language, braille and assistive technology in curriculum, or if you cannot make it a part of curriculum, at least give some assignments based on these things. Then single point support system to students with disabilities in university or college. Then accessibility in the building including drinking water, toilets, recreation and other facilities. Then accessibility of study materials, notes, assignments, circulars, practicals, etc. Then orientation of faculty and staff towards the need of students with disabilities. Then short-term training in basic sign language. And flexibility in theory and practical based curriculum, and provide reasonable accommodation to students at various levels. Reasonable accommodation means provide the needed support to the persons with disabilities. If they need your support, then you provide the support, and that should also be reasonable. One example is of this reasonable accommodation is, suppose a student has to do a dissertation for their work, for their studies, and as a teacher or as a counselor, you can provide them the material or help them. Okay, if you have to make a synopsis for this program, so you can explain them or provide them the material. So that would be a reasonable accommodation, like explaining them, going extra miles to explain them to prepare their synopsis. And if you think, oh, this person is a disabled person, so I should give them, the material, or you give them a ready-made synopsis and you give them a typed synopsis and see, okay, this is the synopsis, you copy it or submit it. So that is not reasonable accommodation. Or you think beyond that and you think, okay, let me write a synopsis for this person. He or she has a disability. So you prepare that synopsis, give it to them. So that is not reasonable accommodation. That is, not helping them, but that is a harm to these students with disabilities. So we need to provide the reasonable accommodation. So with these kind of things in higher education institutions, we can provide support to students with disabilities, include them, and the principles of inclusion that is mentioned in our NEP 2020 can be realized. And I hope with these kind of things you would be able to provide the support of students with disabilities that are enrolled in your college or your university or your institutions. Thank you.
So viewers, with this we will conclude today's session. I once again thank today's resource person Dr. Hemlata for a very enriching session.